So, this is a very special edition of Cocktail Conversations. I'm with David Steyn. He's the general manager of the Shinta Mani Wild. Is that what it's called, or is it called something else?
Yeah, so it's called Shinta Mani Wild, a Bensley Collection. So, of all the Shinta Mani hotels, the what we call the top tier of those hotels are all labeled the Bensley Collection. So, full name, Shinta Mani Wild, a Bensley Collection.
We should say where the land is.
Correct. So, yeah, we're situated on 800 acres or 350 hectares on the southern edge of the Cardamom National Park, which is about midway between Phnom Penh and Sihanoukville.
The tents are sensational.
Yeah.
There's no other way to describe them. Have a go at describing them, David, if you would, for me.
Sure. Part of Bill's plan to be as minimum impact as possible was to raise everything up off the forest floor. So the tented structure sits on a 100 square meter platform.
So the tents are all the same size, but they've got different. How different are they inside? Is it the decoration that's different?
Only the decor. The actual layout is the same. It's really just the finishes.
I mean, you wouldn't, you just have to be in a Bill Bensley collection when you're here, don't you? Everything shouts and sings Bill Bensley to you.
Yeah.
It's slightly, I think, we were talking the other day about whimsical or full of whimsy.
Yeah.
But did he actually get in the rooms and do the paintings that are on the bathroom?
He did. He was very, very hands-on. But I think we had spoken about the beauty of this property is that it's whimsical but beautifully classy at the same time. It really managed to find the balance between quirky and classy. It's really, really quite unique.
What is the? I mean, I've been struggling to think exactly what the concept is.
The idea behind this property is luxury, but with a conscience, and really immersing people in active conservation. So nowhere else in the world, at least that I'm aware of, are you actually sent out on a functioning patrol with an armed unit into the forest to stop these poaching activities. So it's a very, very grassroots but very authentic conservation experience, which makes us really, really unique. Right. And Bill really wants our guests, and we want our guests to really feel what it's like to be at the front lines of conservation.
Yeah, I mean, I also went out with with Chef Bernard, and we went foraging, and I thought, that's just going to be, we'll turn up on a little piece of land and there'll be a convenient mushroom sitting there that we'll pluck. But we went with a couple of the lads, the butlers, who work with each of your groups of guests. Yep. And it was like hacking through the undergrowth and digging up roots, and we actually came away with a big, kind of, I would say, a bowl, of things that are going to go into the dinner tonight. Yeah. So I think what we're also trying to do here is reconnect people with the land. It's in this day and age, people have no idea where their food comes from. So to have this experience of physically going and finding and picking and digging and plucking for your meal there's this, they call it cathartic, hunter-gatherer cell memory that stirred up when you're doing it is part of the self-sustainability thing, and I can tell you the red ants came from a field not too far away, because I was there as we were picking them off the trees. But and also the other thing that struck me was the kind of closeness to the community around us. Two of the guys that are working now with you, we're on the construction team that put the building up, and then they wanted to learn English, and they feel a real pride now in being, sort of elevated up the chain to different roles. So is that something you've really worked at, or is it?
It is. It's a very large part of our charter here that we will always aim to have at least minimum 70% of our staff from the local community. With time, the goal is to obviously up that to 80, 90, and down the line. The reason why we're here is for the community too. So conservation of the land, but also upliftment of the local community.
Interestingly, I don't know his name. I've forgotten his name. He did tell me, but
Right.
He was telling me that he used to be a poacher. He lived off the land.
Yeah.
And I had a real empathy with his story because, it's not his fault that he's got, his family had no money. They have to live, they have to eat, they had to catch animals and so it's really quite tough to turn that round and say, well, okay, no one can actually log anymore. No one can actually catch any of these things. We're going to confiscate all of your chainsaws. A bit of a tough question, but how does that sit?
Yeah, it's a sensitive topic that we address and deal with by working with the community to provide alternative income, be that with job security, with joint ventures, with agriculture. So wherever we can, if it's microloans, helping them start businesses. So these are all part of our Shinta Mani Foundation, which we work with the local community to try and offer alternatives to the forest, overutilization of the forest.
I see you're wearing your Wildlife Alliance shirt there, Dave. Shinta Mani Wild Foundation, Wildlife Alliance, what's the relationship?
When a guest stays here, a portion of the stay is allocated to funding and covering the operational costs for a substation that we have on site. So it's 8 team members of Ministry of Environment, Military Police, and the Wildlife Alliance. So we cover all of the running costs, and then we work with them to conserve around 32,000 hectares of land.
Oh, that's a big job, right?
Yeah, and this also then allows us to send our guests on these real-life patrols.
And they really are real life. I mean, these guys mean it when they get out there.
We never know how it's going to unfold. I cannot advise guests that, this is how it's going to go, because we never know. Yeah. Some days it's really uneventful. Other days it's confiscating chainsaws and burning down logging camps. It's like, it can go anyway.
Yeah. Well, it is unique, and it is a very unique property. From your point of view as the general manager, who are your ideal guests? Who are you looking to attract here?
Well, I think if you can imagine going on these patrols, you need a sense of adventure, right? So this really is for anyone who really wants to immerse themselves in nature. We've also realized that we want to try find balance.
I mean, when you say balance, I mean, I think they're at the opposite end of the scales almost. I just finished going out there and hunting down, hard chainsaw tree choppers, and then went and had a wonderful sound healing session with Lin, the practitioner.
Yeah.
And, and it's kind of the opposite end of the scales, isn't it? But it is balance, I'll give you that. Yeah, I mean, you've got, the intro to your stay is coming down the zip line, which is apparently the longest zip line in Cambodia.
Yeah, definitely Cambodia. Southeast Asia, the jury's still out.
Okay, and then it's 380?
Yeah, 380 meters, and then a short little 50 meter.
It's summit, and you land here in the landing bar. Yeah. And you have sort of flying in boots first. Give me a cocktail.
Well, it's such a magnificent icebreaker.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
No matter how long a trip you've had before you get here, whatever you've gone through, it is such a brilliant icebreaker. By the time you get off there, everyone's just adrenaline's pumping. We'll give you a cocktail on arrival, and it just sets the tone for such a beautiful stay.
I mean, I guess you've got the whole spectrum of guests. I see behind me Ed Sheeran and is it Justin Bieber on the team?
Yeah.
I guess they were here, weren't they? So when they come flying down the zip line, they're just normal human beings.
Yeah. 100%.
Ed may have been whistling a tune to himself on the way down.
Yeah, but in terms of...
But there is a lot of privacy here.
Yeah.
And it is an extraordinary experience. I'm going to have to give a shout out to Bernard, the chef, because I'm a bit of a nuisance when I check into a hotel. I do normally say I'm plant-based, but I try not to make a big thing of it. I have to say, and this is I mean this, Bernard is up there as one of the best plant-based chefs that I've had the experience of in the 6 years I've been plant-based. So
amazing.
He went out of his way for me. Do you get many plant-based diners?
It's becoming more and more popular. But as a company, we have made the decision to move plant forward.
Yeah.
So our menus by nature are very light in animal protein. If we do have a full-blown vegan, it's a very easy adjustment to make.
Right. Yeah.
So we are already trending in that way.
It wasn't a separate menu; it was an adjusted menu, which I loved. It wasn't we got a few things, we'll take it. It was actually part of the thing.
And it's not a case of we'll just omit the protein.
And by the way, red ants are on the animal side of things. I'm hoping I don't get any red ants thrown in there tonight. So tell me a little bit about yourself and your family, and I see you've got two beautiful dogs on site.
Yeah. So I'm here with my wife, who you met earlier, Solveig.
Yeah.
So she oversees the wellness and she develops the wellness programs for the whole of Shinta Mani hotels. And so we've been here about 2 years now, and originally from South Africa. We were meant to be here in 2020, but with the pandemic, we just couldn't get here. So we've been in limbo. Spent some time in Rwanda before this.
What were you doing that made you the ideal person for this job?
So I've always been wilderness operations. Yeah, I started out as a field guide or a game ranger and a safari ranger.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
it just morphed from that. We are most comfortable as far away from the city as you can be, and this is the perfect balance of accessibility to Phnom Penh by the new expressway by 2 hours and you're there. So if we need to, we can, but accessibility is great, but we're still immersed in the most.
How did they
beautiful nature.
find you? I mean, were you kind of?
I was in Bhutan with John Reed, and he said, "Look, I think you should have a look at this property," and mainly because of their ethos. Coming from Africa, where conservation and sustainability and community upliftment were always a very large part of what we do. When I saw the modus operandi for Shinta Mani hotels, it was a no-brainer.
That's for me. I'll take
absolutely.
that. And Solveig was up for it too.
Absolutely. I called her up when I got off the call.
You know where we're going?
I got off the call with Bill, unbeknownst to her, and I said, "Well, how do you feel about Cambodia?" And she said, "Well, let's go."
Well, we're in the landing cocktail bar, the landing zone cocktail bar.
Yeah.
We have a couple of cocktails here. This is called Cocktail Conversations with a K. So, Dave, cheers. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
Pleasure to have you.
And wish you great success in the future. And I think this is a place everyone should at least try once, right?
I think so. It's a bucket list destination, and I think when you get here, you'll understand why.
I'll drink to that.
Cheers.